do. All right, joined now by Tennis Hall of Fame CEO Todd Martin. Todd, thanks so much for taking the time. You, like so many other people in charge of leagues and tournaments and venues, are dealing with this coronavirus epidemic. How are you guys dealing with it right now at the Tennis Hall of Fame in Newport?
Well, pretty much like everybody else, we've got a lot of wait and see. We've got a lot of triage as far as financial modeling as to what the impact is ultimately on our business. But we won't know really until probably mid-May for certain whether we can have the event or not. So all of our efforts right now are full speed ahead in planning, but that's also very difficult to do from home.
Right. So July 12th through the 19th is the big week. You are at an advantage, I guess you could say, in that you're just far enough away that you can plan for this thing, but it's still a wait and see proposition. So you mentioned May as sort of that target date of knowing. Are you sort of taking cues from ATP, or is this a decision you can make on your own, or how will that work?
No, this is an ATP decision. So basically, our lot in life is observing what Governor Raimondo and President Trump have to say, and what the ATP Tour has to say. There's a lot of dynamics here. The Olympics just canceled within the last week or so. Wimbledon is having an emergency board meeting tomorrow to make their determination. But ultimately, we are subject to, if the ATP feels it's safe for their international player body to be traveling, and obviously if Governor Raimondo is comfortable having conventions of upwards of 3,000 people.
Would there be a consideration to have the induction without the tournament?
So that's also really difficult. So it would not happen. These two things are inextricably linked, both by the way we have them scheduled, but also considering the population that we're dealing with. So we need a fan base that to be here with us to celebrate the inductees. But also, it just so happens that this year our inductees are coaches of Novak Djokovic and Garbiñe Muguruza in Goran Ivanisevic and Conchita Martinez. So really, they have a lot of important work to do that they have not been able to do over these last several months. So if it's not for induction, they're going to be hard on the road with in preparation for what comes for the players down the road.
Now, I know you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation the financials involved. By and large, I assume most of your inventory comes from that week in July. While people are always stopping in throughout the year, that's when most people are coming to Newport for this event. So how hard does that hit you if that week disappears?
Well, it's an impact already. The Hall of Fame operates a 20-court tennis club, a 12,000 square foot museum. We're a nonprofit, so we're constantly trying to raise monies. If you just look at those three exercises and parts of our business, all of them have come to a standstill at this period of time. And so even if it's just a good bit of March and all of April, we'll feel it. But at the same time, the summer event season is a major part of our business, and it will hurt us. But at the same time, we are on stable financial footing and feel good about our future.
Tennis is one of those sports, it's two people opposite ends, more than 6 feet, in fact, between people for social distancing. You have your referee there. Would tennis ever consider playing Wimbledon or the US Open or anything without fans?
So if you compare tennis to the NBA, just for example, and I know the NBA is considering that behind closed doors method of competition, the media rights are exponential in the NBA realm compared to our sport. And for us, a relatively small tournament on the professional tour, our media rights revenue is not enough to satisfy the decision to incur all the prize money expense and a variety of other expenses that go into our tournament. The U.S. Open, Wimbledon, I think for different reasons they're in the same boat as I just can't imagine a behind closed door event. These are 2-week long conventions of tennis lovers from international destinations. Ours is a sport that is improving every day from the media rights standpoint, and I think we have massive amounts of growth ahead of us. But at the same time, our sport was made for consumption in person, and the notion of the U.S. Open being the largest event in New York City every year, to imagine that just being a television product on ESPN leaves something to be desired. And I also think if it's not safe to convene fans, there's still going to be 400 tennis players on the property, and all eating the same food, coming in, all sharing the same locker rooms, so forth and so on. So I think there's a great deal more risk in our sport versus two 13 player NBA teams going out and having a game.
And such an international group of players too. All right, what are you guys doing? Like every other business, you're trying to make things more accessible online to people. So what are the things you guys are doing on your website for people to still experience the Tennis Hall of Fame?
So the Tennis Hall of Fame here in the last few years has launched into a digitization project that has produced 3 amazing digital collections, all visible on tennisfame.com. One of them is the evolution of the tennis racket. That's the one that's most recent. As a longtime tennis player and basically obsessed with the sport for my entire life, I actually can see my life through various tennis frames. I still play with a wood racket a lot that I grew up with. It's as cool as it comes. But then we also have rackets that are 200 plus years old that really are the foundation for all racket sports. And then we have a really significant and in some ways beautiful and in some ways absurd fashion collection. You can see what Bobby Riggs wore to play Billie Jean King in the Battle of the Sexes with his big sugar daddy jacket, but you also can see the nonsense that women had to wear back in the early 1900s with boots up nearly to their knees, and they looked like they were going to a dance more than they were going to go and play a sport. And then finally, all of the tennis ball containers through the years, from cardboard boxes back in the day to paint cans that held 9 or 12 tennis balls, and then the more modern aluminum and plastic cans that we've had in the last 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, there's been a lot of evolution in the sport, despite, by and large, it's a ball and a racket, but a lot of technology involved. And I guess my last question is, how are you is your day-to-day right now just putting out fires or planning, or everyone's trying to work from home, or you and your colleagues are you doing the video chat thing, or how are you guys corresponding and working?
We are we're not losing any of our time face-to-face. Let's put it that way. And from a challenge and stress standpoint, my hair was brown 2 weeks ago. But no, we're all coping. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of different work. But I think all in all, the spirit has been good. And frankly, we all know our neighbors are all locked in their houses doing the same thing we are. Our friends across the country or across the globe are doing the same thing. So I think we're all sharing in this misery together, but we're all also trying to be as responsible as we can for the community and make sure our public health continues to get better.
And one more thing, just to clarify on the date, is there a potential for you guys holding the event at a later date past July, or is it just that date and that's it?
Yeah, it really is just that date or no go. We struggle. I mean, if Wimbledon cancels, we would likely be the only grass court tournament in the world this year, which is sort of a nice, but at the same time, the guys will be starting on the hard courts the week after they're here. If we don't have our tournament in the week of July 12th, we can't just wedge a grass court tournament in the midst of a bunch of hard court tournaments or clay court tournaments or the such. Yeah.
Got it. All right, we're all rooting for society to get back to normal so we can enjoy that